Well, there's another preseason game this week. I'm thankful it's at 1:00. It's at 1 p.m.
Yep.
Don't have to do the late night thing. Fired up for that. And we get our annual Niners Raiders preseason game. And I can't wait, man. Honestly, I'm kind of surprised the Niners did joint practice today. We're recording on Thursday.
Yeah, they're still basically missing 20 players. And it's honestly pretty hard to talk about what to look for in this game because there's so many question marks and like who's going to play. Does it matter if this third string guy is playing or is he basically just eating innings so the Niners can get through this so guys who make the roster end up healthy? That's kind of where they're at. They're dealing with so many injuries to starters and even second string guys that it just feels like it's just going to be a bunch of guys who aren't going to make the team getting a bunch of playing time so the Niners can just get through this. But you and I made a list of guys we're going to keep an eye on Saturday, and then we'll talk about them afterwards for sure. Spoiler alert, a lot of rookies, a lot of draft picks.
Yep.
There's a second-year guy on this list that I got. There's an undrafted guy that I got. But who do you want to start with that you're going to be keeping an eye on? Because there are like a handful of players that really need some important reps on Saturday.
Yeah, I think it's also interesting that Kyle Shanahan, real quick before we get to my first guy here, I think it's interesting that Kyle Shanahan said that starters might have to play because of numbers. They have so many guys banged up that they might have to have starters play just to eat innings or eat snaps. That's a really tough spot to be in. But the first player I'm looking at is a player who really stood out from week one, and it is a rookie. It's 5th round pick, Marquise Siegel. I thought he was really good against Denver. I was super impressed. He just was one of those players who's just around the football all of the time. And when that happens for a rookie, it means they're digesting what they're supposed to be doing, digesting what the offense is doing, and acting on that. And I think that's putting him in a good spot to push his way into the starting lineup. I think he probably starts against Vegas. Jason Pinnock started in week 1 of the preseason next to Jair Brown, or Jair Brown did not play, I believe. But Marquise Siegel is pushing to be a starter alongside Jair Brown when the regular season does begin. And so if he has another good game, I think it only helps solidify him in that spot that he is, it looks like, overtaking Pinnock for.
Yeah, when it comes to the Niners safety positions, ahead of Siegel, you don't really love Pinnock. You don't really love Richie Grant, the two free agent additions. Jair Brown felt like he took a significant step backwards last year. Obviously, you feel really good about Malik Mustafa, but he's not healthy and isn't going to be back until midseason. So in an ideal world, if you're the 49ers, if you can get a rookie 5th round pick to come in and win that starting job, that's the best case scenario, I think, because I think the ceiling is pretty high. Like I'm not entirely sure why he's a 5th round player. Like to me, he played really fast. He's really versatile. He's a good tackler. Maybe he's a little bit undersized, but it's not like he's 180 pounds. Like he's a 200-pound safety.
Right.
So I'm really interested to see what he can be, because if Siegel turns into a starter and a plus starter after being a 5th round draft pick, a year after Malik Mustafa turned into what looked like a really good starter as a 4th round draft pick, you'd suddenly feel pretty good about the Niners safety situation after going into training camp being like, yeah, that doesn't look like a great unit.
Yeah, absolutely. And just for the sake of accuracy, I was misremembering. Jason Pinnock and Marquise Siegel started in week 1 of the preseason. I imagine Siegel will start again in week 2. And I think right now he is pushing to start alongside Jair Brown in week 1 of the regular season. There we go. Yeah. I got all the safeties in that starter mix. I'll make
real quick.
Siegel was really good in week 1. Excited to see if he carries that over into week 2. Who's the first player on your list?
I just had a question since we have we're talking safeties. Is Jair Brown in danger of not making the team?
No.
You sure?
Yes.
Okay.
I think there's a different 2023 3rd round pick in danger of not making the team, who's also on the list that we'll talk about. No, I just if I would be there if Malik Mustafa were healthy and playing great, And if Marquise Siegel was playing great, and man, they really like Jason Pinnock. He's been in Robert Saleh's defense before, and they really like Richie Grant's versatility. And Siren Neal is a player that assistant GM Brant Boyer is really in love with. And it looked like Jair Brown was in that 5th or 6th kind of mix where he would need to fight into the top 4, then maybe. But I think they're so banged up at that spot. And I don't think Jair Brown is a dramatic downgrade from anyone else on the roster. That I think he's not only safe, I think he starts.
You think Jair Brown's a starter?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you looking at just like their top 4 safeties, top 5 safeties, Jair Brown's, and not including Malik Mustafa, Jair Brown's the only one who wasn't brought in by while Robert Saleh was defensive coordinator. Like they completely remade this position, right? Like Saron Neal, Richie Grant, Derek Canteen, an undrafted guy, Siegel, Pinnock. Like it might be that they keep all the new guys that they brought in specifically to play Robert Saleh's defense. And Jair Brown was not. He was brought in when who was a coordinator 2 years ago and then
Steve Wilkes.
Steve Wilkes. He was brought in when Steve Wilkes was here. So
yeah,
I'm just like, in terms of like eyebrow raising cuts, I think Jair Brown has to be considered a possibility. That's all. Like if he doesn't win a starting job, it wouldn't surprise me at all. If they're just like, yeah, we like these other dudes better.
Yeah, and maybe for special teams purposes too. Yeah, I don't know. I think there's enough upside there.
Okay.
Like he played well enough as a rookie and then took a little step back last year that you still want to get. Now, if in camp he's just been terrible, and if he plays in the preseason and he's terrible, then maybe. But I've not gotten any indication that he's been bad enough. He was running with the ones today. I don't get any indication that he's been bad enough that they would punt.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to go to your other 3rd round pick?
Yeah, it's Jake Moody.
Oh,
I'm locked in on Jake Moody, dude. No, I don't want to do a ton of time on the kicker, but he is going to be a player for me that I'm watching every single preseason game because I think if he misses one kick, I think his job could be in jeopardy.
Well, he is the only kicker on the roster, but he is going. It's back to the scene of the crime. Like it was in Las Vegas against these very same Raiders where he missed a couple kicks in the preseason as a rookie. And it turned out to be kind of a foreshadowing moment where it's like, maybe this guy isn't as nails as he seemed to be in his first training camp. So yeah, I mean, I don't know how much of a mental hurdle a preseason game is for him, but he's the only kicker on the roster, so he does have that going for him. But maybe they just re-sign the guy that they cut.
I think if he misses 2 kicks, that's the well they go to. I think if he misses 1, it's like, all right, hey, lock in. And then if he misses another one, I think you might see Greg Joseph back in camp and Jake Moody looking for a job.
That would be wild.
It would be insane.
That would be wild. All right. I'm just gonna go back to Nick Martin. Just because
he's also on my list.
Yeah, 3rd round pick, linebacker. I'd imagine he plays a ton of snaps on Saturday.
Yeah.
Because he needs them. And it's not so much like you want him to go out and dominate. You just want him to look better than he did last week.
Totally.
And that's a very low bar, but at least like any progress is good progress at this point for him because he's not going to be a starter. That's going to be D Winters, but now the question is, okay, is he going to be somebody who is active on game day and potentially your 3rd linebacker? Or is that going to be Luke Gifford or Tatum Bethune or somebody else, Curtis Robinson? The Niners do have other guys at that spot, but none of them are recent 3rd round picks.
Right.
So yeah, Nick Martin is going to be a important player for me to watch on Saturday.
I don't know if we shouted out Tatum Bethune in the post game pod from last week, but I thought he was really good against Denver. But anyways, yeah. Man, looking to see if Nick Martin can get ball carriers on the ground. That's going to be key. And it's not just running and hitting. Like that's what we keep hearing is he's a run and hit linebacker. That's great. But he also needs to wrap and tackle. So I think a lot of Robert Saleh talked about it during the week that a lot of his mistakes were bad angles, bad feet, over aggressiveness, being overhyped. So I'm interested to see if in his second preseason game, he's a little more under control. And if that helps at all, if he struggles again to just wrap up a ball carrier and he just slides off a running back or a tight end again, and that becomes a problem, then I think we start looking at his size as being prohibitive to him playing in the NFL. But I'm still bullish on him as a prospect, and I think a lot of it's going to come down to how he does in the next couple of games.
Yeah, because there's a possibility that if he doesn't improve, then it's going to be Robinson and Bethune active on game days.
Yep.
And not him, which for a third round pick would be
that'd be really bad.
Yep. Who's your next guy?
Alfred Collins.
Yep.
I need to see anything. This Raiders offensive line is putrid. If Collins is not getting any push, I need to see 2 flashes. That's all I need. I need 2 flashes where you're like, whoa, man, that it was a big man who was moving bodies. If he's getting stood up at the line again and him chasing down or trying to chase down a ball carrier after they've run past him is the highlight again, I'm out. That'd be really tough. This is a prime opportunity for him to bounce back from what I thought was a rough first game. And if he's a non-factor again, trying not to overreact to preseason, but this is going based off of reports out of training camp. We're seeing it in preseason against opposing offensive lines. This is not a good offensive line. Alfred Collins should be able to make a couple of plays against the Raiders.
Yeah, and he probably will start because CJ West hyperextended his knee in Thursday's joint practice.
Yep.
He had been working with the starters alongside Kalia Davis. I would imagine Collins would get a lot of run there. And yeah, how does he look against the starting offensive line? Mm-hmm. Even if the Raiders only play their starters for a series or two, he'll have an opportunity. He'll play a lot, I'm sure, but he'll also likely have an opportunity to go against starters. So what does that look like? I'm with you on that.
Totally.
They're so banged up along the defensive line.
It's crazy.
Like Bruce Hector gonna get some run.
Well, you're not gonna not play Bruce Hector.
Right. I mean, obviously. But like you just have, William Bradley King, Damone Harris.
Sure.
Like Travis Gibson's gonna get some run.
Well, and it baffles me that they released Michael Dwumfor knowing that this is what the defensive line is going to look like.
The defensive line might be the position group where it's just like, yeah, would just go play because, I mean, you're not making the team, but just go play because we have no bodies right now.
Seriously.
So probably another opportunity for our guy, Sebastian Valdez, who I kind of want to see make the roster.
I do too, man.
Like, I kind of would rather give Sebastian Valdez a shot than I don't know, Evan Anderson. Does Kevin Givens do anything for you?
Oh, Kevin Givens is hurt.
I know, but at some in terms of depth along the defensive line, I think you're kind of in a place where you'd love to see maybe an undrafted guy come in and earn a role rather than trying these retreads who aren't all that productive for you.
Yeah, for sure. And he's just he gives off the vibe. This is all anecdotal. This is based off of no stats or anything. He's giving off in the little bit we've gotten to see of him, that vibe of a player who makes a play for the Eagles in the Super Bowl.
Right.
And they rave about this undrafted kid and the Eagles just finding this talent and da-da-da-da-da. That's the kind of player the 49ers have needed to find along their defensive line while they've spent the last couple of years trying to find capable defensive linemen. And if he can fall into an undrafted defensive tackle who's a rotational guy who's playing 20 snaps a game for you, 25 snaps a game for you, that'd be huge. That'd be really, really big.
Yeah.
And I think they should give him every opportunity to be that guy.
Sebastian Valdez wasn't on my list, but I think I just added him to my list. So
no, I love that for 55. you. We'll do it live.
Yeah. Okay. Who's since I just took Valdez, who do you got? Who's another one?
I'm gonna stick on the defensive line. I got to see more from Bryce Huff, man.
Do you?
Yeah.
Why?
Because have an impact. Do something. I got to see more.
Okay. I'm of the mind that they just need to make sure Bryce Huff is healthy for the regular season.
I felt like there were a lot of times against Denver where he was in the wrong place.
Okay.
And I could be wrong. I could definitely be wrong. But again, this comes back to bad offensive line. Can Bryce Huff pin his ears back and run around to tackle for a sack one time?
Okay.
What?
I'm laughing at a text from the group chat. So I'm a little distracted. I apologize, but it was a very funny text.
Just not paying attention to my very, very strong Bryce Huff takes.
No, I'm with you. I'm just kind of I feel like the only reason Bryce Huff is playing is because they have so many other injuries along the defensive line that it's he's going to be one of their 4 or 5 best defensive linemen. So he's I'm not super worried, but look, if you need to see more, you need to see more. I'm not going to tell you that
he's not going to be one of their 4 or 5 best defensive linemen.
No, I said I think he is. So I don't need him to ball out in a preseason game to prove that to me.
Okay, but I do.
Yeah,
he has 1 awesome year under his belt in the NFL. 2. We'll call it two really good years. It does not include last year. And they need him to be one of their 3 best defensive linemen.
Okay. I mean, you're a tough crowd, I think. And that's not a slight to you. It just means you have high expectations or you need a guy to clear a pretty high bar to be this guy. I'm optimistic about this guy.
Absolutely.
Okay. That's fair. That's
Who's
fair.
Next?
Hey, how about Ricky Pearsall?
Sure.
If he plays, it'll probably be a series, maybe 2. But he's been really good at camp. He was good at the practice I went to earlier this month, and it was his first practice back, and I thought he looked pretty good coming off the hamstring injury. And just what does it look like? What does year 2 Ricky Pearsall look like? I would like to see, and this isn't even I think he needs to get on the field for his development type thing. This is just I'm curious what he looks like in a game setting, because I feel really good about what I've seen and what I've read about Ricky Pearsall on the practice field and training camp. So is Ricky Pearsall a Pro Bowler? I'm open to that possibility given what he looked like on the training camp field when I was there, and given what people have been writing about since I was there. I am optimistic about the talent. Obviously a first round pick. I'm not necessarily concerned about his development, but I'm eager to see what he looks like, because if Ricky Pearsall is a Pro Bowl type receiver or a 1,200 yard guy this year, or even a 1,000-yard guy, a 70 catch guy, whatever, if he's like that this year, that could go a long way towards the Niners exceeding expectations, because everyone will look at, they lost Deebo Samuel and they lost all these other guys. Well, if somebody like Ricky Pearsall can come in and be a very productive player from jump, that's a huge development for them.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I don't know how much he'll play if he does play.
Yeah,
but it sounds like the starters are going to play at least a little bit. And yeah, if he carries that over into a game setting and gets out healthy, I think it bodes really well for him. It's kind of crazy how every practice it's Ricky Pearsall lit it up again.
Right. He spent all off season working out with Brock Purdy, and it's wow, Pearsall and Purdy's chemistry is crazy. It's okay. Can we see it in a game? I would love to see it in a game.
Yeah, for sure. My next guy is Connor Colby. Salute to our guy Double C's. So Here's why. Ben Barch is out with a elbow injury. And he left practice Tuesday with the injury. And it was Connor Colby running with the ones instead of Nick Zakelj. And then Thursday, Barch didn't practice. And according to reporters down at the Raiders practice facility, it was Colby and Zakelj rotating at left guard. I think they've seen enough of Zakelj. I think they know that Nick Zakelj is not a starting caliber offensive lineman. And it wouldn't shock me at all if Connor Colby starts against the Raiders. And if he plays really well, it might push him into a competition with Barch for the left guard spot. And it might push him above Zakelj in the hunt for a roster spot. So Connor Colby is our guy. We've been on him since the draft. I am a big fan. He performed well in week 1, and I'm looking forward to seeing him in week 2.
Yeah, I agree. I've been a little confused about their thinking with the left guard situation.
Sure.
Just, I'm fine with letting Aaron Banks go and get all that money from the Packers.
Yeah.
Like I thought Aaron Banks was a fine player. I did not think he was worth what he got from them in free agency. But they didn't make any substantial investment in the interior of the offensive line after we thought they would during the offseason. Then they used a 7th round pick on our guy Connor. And getting Connor to become a starter and play at that type of level is exactly what the 49ers need in the same way. In the same way they need Sebastian Valdez to maybe provide some depth and juice along the defensive line. They're at a point now with the roster construction to where they could really, really use late round picks, undrafted guys coming in and solidifying themselves. All right, even if he's not starting, this is a good player who's a good find.
Yep.
And Colby definitely represents that possibility.
Yep.
We'll see, but I'm with you. I don't see any reason why Connor Colby couldn't beat out Ben Barch for the starting job. And I definitely don't think Nick Zakelj has done anything to make you believe that he deserves a meaningful role or even a roster spot. So yeah, Connor Colby, it's there for you, pal.
Yeah, absolutely. Any more? I have one more.
Corey Kiner.
Sure. Yeah.
Is Corey Kiner just going to Matt Breida this thing and carve out, be Kyle Shanahan's next undrafted running back who is better than the guy they drafted in Jordan James, who's still out with a broken finger?
Super feels like he's going to be.
It kind of feels like he's going to be. So very interested to see that. And I'll be interested to see, I'm pretty sure Patrick Taylor is just going to be on the roster. He'll be the third running back. So I would imagine they're not going to give him a ton of carries. So we'll be interested to see how they divvy up carries between Corey Kiner, Jeff Wilson, and Keyshawn Vaughn.
Sure.
I kind of think if Kiner doesn't get a bunch of carries, they're we might need this dude for the regular season. So we're just we're going to keep him on ice a little bit and let Keyshawn and Jeff Wilson Jr. go to the dark place and eat up all these carries. So yeah, I'm interested to see how they use Kiner.
Same here, man. He was a lot of fun against the Broncos.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to watch him one more time. I'm also just sticking on the offensive line. This is my last one. I need to see Spencer Burford not get his ass whooped.
Yeah.
If there's a really strong chance he's going to be their swing tackle. And Nick Bonitto's an all-pro. That's not an easy assignment, but I didn't think Spencer Burford was great against Denver. I know it wasn't all on him, but I would like to see Spencer Burford go out and put together some really good reps.
Yeah, and there's been a little bit of discussion too about Austin Pleasance on the other side, backing up Colton McKivitz at right tackle, that they might be grooming him to be the potential starter if they let Colton McKivitz go in free agency next year. Would love to see some good play from him before making that leap, because that just feels like a tough thing to to assign to a guy who's we don't know if he's any good.
Absolutely.
So yeah, similar line of thinking there with those guys, because McKivitz plays, like he's played 17 games and started the last 2 years. But is Austin Pleasance good enough at right tackle for them to just let McKivitz go and get $20 million a year from someone else? Like I don't know.
Guess we'll find out.
Guess we'll find out.
You want to talk QB tiers before we get out of here?
Quarterback tiers. I don't have a lot on this. I have one key point though. So Mike Sando over The Athletic was at ESPN forever. He's been on this podcast at least once.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's one of the best people doing this, because just in terms of like writing about the NFL, because what he does a really good job of is, it's not like he releases his QB tiers every year.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not him ordering the quarterbacks based on how he feels about them.
Right.
He talks to 50 people, coaches, GMs, high-ranking executives, former GMs, coordinators, 50 people in total in the league or have been in the league, and polls them and then compiles his quarterback tiers based on what these people who actually work in the league think. And it's definitely one of the best things, the best pieces of NFL content that comes out every year. And they just released earlier this week. But the key point I wanted to make, so he has Brock Purdy 14th, and the number 14th is just like there's a point value system based on the points you get and the tiers you're at. So Brock Purdy's in tier 2, and he's a 14th ranked quarterback. And the thing I came away with was like, wow, I really like ranking quarterbacks in tiers, as opposed to being like, no, this guy's 16th. No, he's 13th.
Right.
Like doing it in tiers, because you can sort of define what a tier 2 quarterback is. Because I think Purdy on any given day could be a tier 1 guy, but he's not going to be a tier 1 guy as often as maybe Patrick Mahomes or Lamar or Joe Burrow, guys who are actual tier 1 guys. So I don't have I would personally I think Brock Purdy has played better overall than Jordan Love. Jordan Love has more tools. Jordan Love is 13th. Purdy's 14th. Brock Purdy plays better than Dak Prescott in big games. I understand Prescott has, played for a long time and compiled a whole lot of numbers. I just think at this point, we've seen Brock Purdy play better in big games than Dak Prescott. I would lean Purdy, and maybe I'm biased, and that's probably an unpopular opinion, but Dak Prescott, to me, I just don't trust him in big games, and Purdy, I've seen him do it in pretty big games and playoff games. Baker Mayfield's 11th. I think Purdy and Mayfield are pretty damn close.
I agree.
Honestly, I think Mayfield's a baller. I think I'm really impressed with what he's done in Tampa. Bouncing back from what happened to him in Cleveland, going to the Rams for a cup of coffee.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, my point here, I think I'm totally good with Brock Purdy being a tier 2 quarterback.
Yep.
Because I think that totally makes sense. Do I think he's the 14th best quarterback? Maybe some weeks he is. Maybe if it's a cold weather game in Cleveland and Purdy's the ball slipping out of his hand,
sure,
then maybe Purdy's a 14th quarterback. But if Purdy's at home against, I don't know, the Titans, then maybe he's the 4th best quarterback in the league that day, right? So I'm in on the idea that Brock Purdy's a tier 2 guy, and he's grouped with a bunch of players who I think he's very close to in terms of where he ranks in the league, and I think that's a far more accurate and reasonable ranking system for quarterbacks than what some other places do, where it's Brock Purdy's small and doesn't have a huge arm, so he's 22nd. It's
sure, right.
Can we watch him play quarterback, please, in comparison to some of these other dudes who have big arms but aren't actually good at playing the position?
Yeah. I have a few things on this. One, Matthew Stafford, a tier 1 quarterback, insane. That's ridiculous to me. Jaden Daniels at number 6 already? We don't need to see the guy do it again?
Fastest riser in the history of the tiers, Sando said.
Insane. Jared Goff at 8 is crazy to me. Jared Goff, I don't like that. I also, can we talk about Jalen Hurts for a second?
Sure.
I know Jalen Hurts has won a Super Bowl, and that comes with a certain level of gravitas, and I understand that. But if we're going to drag Brock Purdy for his offensive system and the offensive weapons around him, then that has to be part of the case with Jalen Hurts too. Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown and Saquon Barkley and the best defensive line in the league and the best offensive line in the league, if that was Brock Purdy, it would be used as a reason to push him down in the tiers. And I think with Jalen Hurts, it's the thing that props him up. And that's not an argument against Jalen Hurts. It's an argument against the way people talk about Brock Purdy. Jalen Hurts is where he belongs.
I agree. I think Hurts benefits a lot from the supporting cast. And like, I think Purdy would absolutely be ranked higher if he wasn't coming off a 6-11 season where, everything crumbled around him from an injury perspective, and he got injured too, but he didn't elevate a downtrodden team to the playoffs, which would have gone a long way, I think, in these rankings. But I don't know that Jalen Hurts could do that either. Right.
I'm with you.
And we've seen Patrick Mahomes when the offensive line is bad, like it was in the Super Bowl, and even in the Super Bowl in 2020 or 2021 against Tampa Bay, like Patrick Mahomes, who's the first or second quarterback in the league by any measure, has struggled when his team isn't awesome around him. So I'm not going to ding Patrick Mahomes when, be like, oh, he has Andy Reid and blah, blah, blah. Like, Joe Montana had Bill Walsh. Tom Brady had Bill Belichick, right? Like it's impossible to be a dynastic team without a great head coach and a great quarterback. And I will never be, and I just have a really hard time with, using a really good situation against a quarterback in terms of, so anyway, I agree. I just think like with Hurts though, you can't win a Super Bowl with Jalen Hurts if you don't have an awesome defense, right? Or you don't have awesome skill guys or even an awesome running game, because I just don't know, like, if Jalen Hurts, you're down 3 scores in the fourth quarter of a playoff game, I don't know that I trust Jalen Hurts to throw it every down and get you back in and win that game.
Sure.
I think you have to play a certain style, which isn't a knock. I just think that's what it is.
I will say this for Jalen Hurts: if he gets the ball down by 4 with a minute and a half left and no timeouts on his own 25, I feel good about him getting his team to the end zone. And that's a reason. So here's where I kind of land here. If you want to put Jaden Daniels in tier 2, that's fine. Justin Herbert, tier 2, that's fine. CJ Stroud, Jalen Hurts, tier 2, that's fine. I think there needs to be a tier 2.5. That's where Jared Goff belongs. And then I've always said this: Baker Mayfield, Dak Prescott, Jordan Love, Brock Purdy, put those guys in any order that you want and I'll buy it. That's totally fine. I am more liberal with this. There are people who are vehemently against this argument from me, but I would also include Kyler Murray, Aaron Rodgers, Tua, Trevor Lawrence, Geno Smith. They're also in that 2.5 tier for me. Put those guys in any order. And I say that because I think if you drop any of those guys onto the 49ers, I don't know that the 49ers get substantially better or worse. I think they're probably, it might look a little different, but I think they're probably about the same. And so that's where, and then everybody else to me is tier 3 and below.
See, one thing I appreciated, because I think, like, I think Brock is a better quarterback than Kyler, Aaron, Tua, Trevor Lawrence, Geno Smith, Bo Nix, Sam Darnold. Like,
okay,
I'm glad. Then those are the tier 3 guys from Sando's list. I'm glad there's a differentiator there, because that to me was like, Brock Purdy was like an MVP candidate. The numbers were absolutely ridiculous. Sure, I get he's in Kyle Shanahan's system, but like, I'm not going to hold that against him, because he's operating a really complicated system at a really high level and being really accurate and throwing with extreme anticipation and like doing all these things that high level quarterbacks do. It's just he doesn't have an elite arm or elite size, so people can't comprehend that he plays quarterback at a really high level. So I'm glad with this list, after Purdy backed up what he did in 2023. Like, Purdy played pretty well last year, all things considered.
Yeah, he wasn't bad, for sure.
and reinvented sort of the way he played. He was attacking. He was throwing a lot more aggressive throws deep downfield. He obviously didn't have the same type of weapons. It wasn't a dink and dunk offense. Not that it was in 2023, but it wasn't like a quick hitter offense. It was like 5-step drop, deep passing concepts, like a lot more than we've seen, a lot less reliant on gadget plays, a lot less reliant on play action last year. And Brock Purdy still put up pretty reasonable numbers, all things considered. So one thing I appreciated about this list is that, all right, there's a clear differentiator between Trevor Lawrence, Tua, Aaron Rodgers, Geno, and Brock, and Kyler. And I think he had been put in that group after 2023, where they kicked a go-ahead field goal in overtime of the Super Bowl against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs after he had game-winning drives in the 2 previous playoff games. And it's like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, can we just get rid of the 7th round draft pick thing that seems to be like this boulder in all of our brains about how we look at this dude, because he's clearly a better player than that.
Can I tell you the thing that sticks as a boulder in my brain with Purdy?
Sure.
He has never thrown a touchdown for the 49ers when tied or trailing with less than 4 minutes to go. That's crazy.
Yeah. That was true.
Like that's the one thing that I can envision the interceptions against Minnesota and the a couple years ago, not this past season, but there was another game where they were down late and he had to throw it, and it's escaping me right now. But I just that feeling of, oh man, this guy's gonna go get his team a touchdown. Yeah, I'm not all the way there yet. And
yeah,
maybe I'm a dumbass. Maybe that's a stupid way to look at it. But that is when everything, to me, a lot of this stuff is very close. And so much of it is circumstantial with defense and play caller and weapons and all that. But it's like, all right, when the chips are down, there's 2 minutes left, down 4, no timeouts. Is this guy going to get his team a touchdown? I don't feel that with Brock yet.
Okay. I think that's fair. But I don't feel that way about Kyler Murray or Tua or Trevor Lawrence. So
and that's why I put Brock in that group.
Yeah. I just think the rest of the body of work elevates him over those guys. Sure. But I don't think think that's a bad point. I think that's also a Kyle Shanahan discussion, because those types of numbers go back to when, Jimmy G was a quarterback. So now I'm gonna go look. Yeah, we can talk about that later. That's a bigger picture conversation about Shanahan and just the way the 49ers play, because it feels like they kind of have to be a team that gets up and, goes up by 2 scores at halftime by, getting the kickoff or getting the second half kickoff, scoring, like being up by 10 and then playing suffocating defense. And like, that's how they win. And that's been the formula for a long time. It hasn't been like they can win a shootout or they can win after falling behind in the fourth quarter.
Jimmy Garoppolo in 2019 and 2021, 5 touchdowns, 2 interceptions when trailing with less than 4 minutes to go.
What was the Niners' record with? There's some Josh Dubow stat. I need to go back and look, but Josh Dubow has a stat where it's like Kyle Shanahan's like 0-40 when trailing by whatever number in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, maybe Kyle Shanahan sucks. Tune in next time to find out. I had a caller on the radio, and I'm joking about the Kyle Shanahan sucks thing, but I had a caller on the radio, this guy named TC, who hates Kyle Shanahan, just hates his guts, just thinks he's the worst coach in the NFL. Niners will never win anything with him. Got mad because Shanahan doesn't take preseason seriously enough. Because all the good coaches take preseason serious as hell.
I would argue the other way, that like maybe Kyle Shanahan takes training camp too seriously, and that's why that's why the Niners are like always one of the most injured teams every August.
Maybe. Anyways.
I don't know. Chris
will talk to you after the game. I've got a birthday to celebrate.
It's your birthday?
My birthday.
On Saturday?
On Friday.
On Friday.
People are listening to this probably on my birthday.
All right. Well, happy birthday since
Thanks,
it's
man.
not your since it's Friday when people are listening to this.
Yeah.
But
Thank you.
it'll be well, this will be up on YouTube late Thursday night. So maybe some people who are watching on our YouTube channel will be celebrating your birthday a little bit early. Hey, maybe with a beer from Cooperage, maybe a Candlestick Chronicles Hazy IPA. Wearing my Cooperage hat right now for those who are watching on YouTube. It's my favorite hat. This is like one of their first hats they ever came out with.
I don't know if I've ever pointed this out, but it's behind my award that I won at work, not to brag. Oh, there they are. They're right here. These are the OG Candy Crons. Yeah, these are from 2021.
Yeah.
You got some OGs back there too?
I think so. Yeah, they're behind. Yeah. I got the Kurt bobblehead over there.
Jealous.
But yeah, shout out to Cooperage. Candlestick Chronicles Hazy IPA is back. Make sure you go get it. It's delicious. Yep. I have a case in my fridge. I'm actually going to go have some right now, I think.
Love that for you.
So yeah, maybe I'll cheers you from Sacramento on your birthday.
Please do.
And happy birthday, man. I appreciate you. You're great at this. This podcast wouldn't be anything without you. And I hope you live it up on your birthday. And don't worry about Saturday. We'll hold it down. I know you'll be back on early next week to talk about the game after rewatching the All-22 because you're a professional like that.
Dude, I'm grinding the All-22 on Sunday.
Yeah, good. That's what I like to hear. All right. Well, enjoy. We'll talk to you guys after the game. See ya.